Davidson here from the Fine Homes Group at Keller Williams, and I'm with Nicole Quinn.
Hello,
That's
back.
my partners in the golf tournament. Anyway, so here we are, and have my thinking cap on, summer attire. So today I want to discuss affordability, all sorts of press. I have a couple of articles, one from the Union Leader and one from the Wall Street Journal earlier this week. And interestingly, I know a couple of episodes ago, we discussed the fact that New Hampshire is one of the 3 hottest states in the country.
Yep.
As far as the market goes. Manchester in particular is the number 1 fastest moving market, fewest days on market in the country. And affordability was cited as the main reason. So not just the housing, the prices of housing, but also the cost of living and the fact that we have no state income tax. I want to read a couple of excerpts, or these excerpts from a couple of these articles, and then talk about something that I think could help. It's going back to something that was very popular when I first started selling real estate in 1979. I know, 12. Yeah, we talked about that. We were 12 years old, and it's called the buy down. So let me just read a little bit here. In the Union Leader, U.S. housing affordability is set to drop to 2007 levels this year. S&P says housing affordability is set to worsen to levels last seen in the financial crisis as rising mortgage rates compound high prices, according to S&P Global Ratings. By the end of this year, mortgage payments will make up 28% of income for the typical first-time buyer, the highest since the first quarter of 2007, assuming a 10% down payment. S&P North American Chief Economist Beth Ann Bobino said in a report. Mortgages shouldn't exceed 25% of income to be considered affordable, per guidelines from the National Association of Realtors. That threshold has already been breached for low and middle income buyers and will remain well above it through 2025, leaving 60% of U.S. households out of the market, S&P said. High home purchase prices don't necessarily mean that homes have become unaffordable, but after over a decade of relatively benign home purchase conditions, our analysis of housing market conditions shows affordability has worsened in recent years, the report said. The housing market is coming off its boil as the Federal Reserve aggressively raises interest rates, which has sent mortgage rates up near the highest level since 2008. That's crowding out buyers who are already struggling with record prices. For prospective home buyers, that means signing a contract could be decades away. This is such doom and gloom. By the fourth quarter of 2022, it'll take 11.3 years for a first-time buyer with median income to save for 10% down payment and twice as long for 20%. S&P said. Before the pandemic, each took half as long. Oh, what does all that mean? It seems so depressing.
It does sound very depressing.
And yet, our buyers in this, so this is kind of national news, and I frankly think it can be a little bit irresponsible to not talk about what's happening locally and not understand anecdotally what's happening.
Yeah.
Having said all of that, there is a way to make mortgages more affordable.
How do we do that?
Thank you for asking. So it's something called a buy down. And a buy down is where the money is paid to the lending institution, to lower the interest rate. Okay. And in the 1980s, when they were more popular, when they were very popular as interest rates were at 17, 18, and 22, not only were there variable mortgages, or adjustable mortgages, both, but people would buy the rate down. Now, if a buyer isn't in a position where they have the cash to do that, asking that it come out of the seller's proceeds is a great way to go. So I'll explain. May I explain?
You may.
So 1% is a 1% of a loan amount. So just for the ease of calculation, let's say a mortgage is $300,000. Okay. 1 point is $3,000. And for every point that is paid to the lending institution, the rate is lowered 0.25%.
Okay.
So for 4 points, how much would you be lowering your rate?
5%.
Very good.
Thank you.
Okay. I don't think they'll ever could handle that. Anyway, so if a property, especially if a property has been sitting on the market, would be a great opportunity for a buyer and their agent or a buyer through their agent to make an offer whereby the seller funds the buy down, because for the seller, it's taken out of their proceeds. So a seller who might have been contemplating lowering their price or being flexible and not and knowing that they're not going to get the asking price, perhaps it's been sitting on the market for a while, property, then a great way for a buyer to go in is to ask the seller, let's say on a $330,000 property, that the seller contributes, well, let's make it easier than that, with a $300,000 mortgage, that the seller contributes $12,000 to buy the rate down 1%.
Okay.
And it just becomes more affordable. Also, working with sellers and listings, it's something we started to talk to our sellers about. But the other thing, Nicole, is that while these payments are there are buyers who feel comfortable making the purchase now, understanding that there's probably going to be a time in the next few to several years when the rates will drop enough that they can refinance. And we're also starting to see more adjustable rate mortgages where the rate is fixed, so the rate is lower than a fixed rate, and it's fixed for a number of years, sometimes 7, and then it adjusts. But in that time, first of all, many people move, right? And secondly, there's probably going to be an opportunity to refinance. So there are ways to work. There are ways to work around and with this condition. I think the good news is that there are opportunities for buyers with properties that were perhaps priced ambitiously, as many agents don't necessarily understand the nuance of pricing a property where something else that sold has been priced in order to create a response from the buying public that you want. In other words, if a property comes on the market for $300,000 and it sells for $340,000, many agents will look at that and say, well, let's price your home at $340,000, or let's do better. If the market's appreciating, let's price at $350,000, when it was the $300,000 that caused the reaction and caused the purchase. So does that make sense to you?
It does.
In most cases, buyers in the olden days, a buyer would often fund their own buy down.
Yeah.
Right. But if these buyers are coming to the table with 10% down, 5% down, 0 down, and for a seller, it's coming out of the equity of their home, as is a price reduction, or as is negotiability on their price.
Right.
So as far as I'm concerned, a buy down is a win-win.
Yeah.
And all the lenders know about it. All lenders know how to do it. So buyers shouldn't be shy in talking to their agents about it. And if they want to talk to an agent of the Fine Homes Group, that's fine too. We're pretty versed in this.
Exactly. It just is another reason why you should really consult a knowledgeable agent about all of these things, because there is always a way to work around things.
Think outside the box.
Of course,
exactly.
Absolutely.
Anyway, I know I said I was going to read excerpts from both of these articles, but they echo each other.
Yeah.
And again, I would remind people to, whether someone local is listening or watching this, or somebody from another area, to understand the market you're in and the market of the moment wherever you are. Because right now, our local market in southern New Hampshire is not feeling some of the same things that other markets are.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's it. That's all I got.
All right. Well, that clears things up. I think that's something that we're going to see a lot more of now. So it's good to get that.
And we're always looking for new ways to help our buyers get into homes and help our sellers get out of their homes.
That's right.
So that's it for today. Thank you for subbing, as always.
You're very welcome. Happy to be here.
And thank you. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel or follow us on your favorite podcast platform.